Hi there. So, in my part of the project, I chose to create my own poem. Something that really stood out to me in not only this book, but in recent years in America is seeing how culturally diverse this world is and how different it can be from one person to the next with our trials that we go on, our adventures in life, our goals that we have, they all differ from person to person. And this, in part, may have something to do with the cultural background that we are raised in. So, I really wanted to speak on the two different sides of this story and on kind of the world story, too. And that's why I wrote this poem, which can be looked at in two different sections, but they're both connecting. So, on the left, we have under the collapsing door frame, filed away in the archive. For my own protection, I do not ask, waiting for my turn to take center stage. Am I defined by this crowd? Afraid to stand out? Afraid of not being heard? When will the darkness end? And then on its opposition, on the right, under the pillars of marble, surrounded by undermining. For my own protection, I do not ask, waiting for my turn to speak the truth. Am I defined by this crowd? Afraid to stand out? Afraid of not being heard? When will the darkness end? I chose to end both of these mini poems with the same last four lines because I believe it speaks on how, in the book, even though Campbell and Lena come from two vastly different backgrounds, they both share the same goal of returning home safely. And at the end of the book, we see how both characters are impacted by this night. Towards the end of the book, in part four, we see Lena and Campbell arrive at Campbell's father's hardware store, which has been looted. We then come to find out that it is Lena's boyfriend, Black's friends, who end up stealing the supplies from the hardware store, Peanut and Big Baby. Towards the climax or the conclusion of this story, we see Lena and Campbell getting dropped back off at their respective homes. First, Campbell, where when Campbell gets out of the car and goes to the trunk, sees her father's hardware tools that have been stolen by Peanut and Big Baby. A fight ensues, and Peanut ends up shooting a gun. Nobody's hurt, thankfully, but it almost seems like that one instance of argument ties up the entire story of what we've just read and what we've just experienced together with these characters. Peanut shooting is a result of the argument that ensues, an argument that is between people of two different races, people of two different backgrounds, people who have different perspectives on life. I think that speaks volumes to this book, and not only this book, but our culture, our society as one. We are so divided nowadays. And that was kind of my inspiration when it came to creating this poem. That the person on the left side poem, it speaks on someone who's reserved. For my own protection, I do not ask. That's something that's very powerful. The same for the right, though. For my own protection, I do not ask. But that is a different protection that they're not asking for. Filed away in the archive, surrounded by undermining. Filed away in the archive, I thought of that in regards to all of those that have came before us that have strived to make change in this world and to try to make political change, to make social change. Anyone, Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. President Barack Obama, people who have supported change in social justice, surrounded by undermining, speaks on the agenda of people who may not come from the same walks of life of those that have struggled for centuries, but still understand at their core the struggles that have been occurring for all people. Waiting for My Turn to Take Center Stage is in regards to waiting throughout life for your moment to be seen, to be heard, to shine. Waiting for my turn to speak the truth. That was something that really spoke to me because we all need to speak our own truths. We all need to be able to live life in a way that allows us to not feel like we have left any stones unturned. And the antithesis between a collapsing door frame and a pillar of marble was something that helped me really get into the mindset of these two vastly different perspectives on life, but also two perspectives that are experiencing this same event at the same time. This night of racism and injustice in Campbell and Lena. I think that's very powerful. I think this book is very powerful because it really makes you think. It's a very mature writing. This is something that you definitely would want to make sure that the audience that you're presenting this book to is ready to understand these themes. But it is important and it is crucial that we are able to understand these themes, that we're not afraid to stand out, that we're not afraid to be heard, and that we know that the darkness will end when we are able to rise above it all. And that's something that's very important to me. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this and have a great day.